wasn't kidding when I told you it was going to be grim and bleak. And there you go. Wow. Okay, I'm refreshed. Okay, there you go. Now you've seen it. Yeah, a pretty extraordinary film. Okay, the director of that film, Cy Enfield, as I mentioned, was from Scranton, Pennsylvania. A really, really fascinating person. His background was in magic. And Cy Enfield was one of the world's greatest sleight-of-hand magicians. And the way he got into the movie business was doing magic tricks, in-your-face magic tricks for Orson Welles, who was quite a magician himself and was interested in all of that. And when they met, all of a sudden, the doors kind of opened up for Cy Enfield in the 1940s, and Welles became like his mentor, in a sense. And the next thing you knew, Cy Enfield was making B pictures in Hollywood, some of which, I mean, he really is a reclamation project, because he did a lot of B films at small studios. The films are very, very hard to find. We're looking for a lot of these pictures. There's a movie he made called The Argyle Secrets that we're desperately trying to find a 35mm print of. He did this film. It was not the last picture he made in the United States. He did a fantastic movie after this called The Underworld Story with Dan Duryea and Gail Storm that is a terrific, again, a movie in which the newspaper business and the irresponsibility of the newspaper business. And aren't you, like me, glad that we learned our lesson? And there's no more media irresponsibility at all? I'm happy for that. So, but The Underworld Story is an absolutely amazing film, which you can get on DVD. You can actually see the film in the Warner Archive collection, but there are no really good 35mm prints of the film readily available anymore. It may be something that we take on as a project at some point, because I think so highly of the film. But like those other gentlemen that I mentioned, Dassin and Losey and John Barry, Cy Enfield went to England. He was an associate of a very interesting character named Hal E. Chester. And Hal E. Chester was the adult version of a young child actor named Hallie Chester, who was one of the East End kids, I believe, at one point, and decided he wanted to be a movie producer. And he and Cy Enfield were like two peas in a pod, and they did a lot of work together, including when both of them ended up in England. And Cy Enfield did a lot of rewrite work. He did a lot of script writing work under different names. He appears sometimes as C. Raker Enfield on some pictures. There's a picture I showed here previously, I think, called Crash Out, a prison picture that was made in this country that Hal E. Chester was the producer of. That was written by Cy Enfield, but his name appears nowhere on the film because by that time he was persona non grata in the States and nobody really wanted to associate with him. So he goes to England and he resumes his career, and the movie you're about to see is one of the great films that he made in England in 1957. In San Francisco, we showed this on a double bill with a movie called Night of the Demon, which is not really a noir film, but you may be familiar with that if you like 50s era horror pictures. Dana Andrews and Peggy Cummins were in that. It's about a cult of Satanists in England, directed by Jacques Tourneur, the great Jacques Tourneur, and Hal E. Chester was the producer of that film, and Cy Enfield was the uncredited screenwriter on that film. So the movie you were about to see, you know, somebody was talking about where was the communist element in this film, right, when it seems to be about the irresponsibility of journalists and things. And it does need to be said that it's very easy when you're familiar with this material to read between the lines and see these guys using the crime wave thing, and you know, it's a guy holding up a liquor store is not a crime wave, and a guy who once upon a time had a Communist Party card in his pocket isn't actually trying to overthrow the government and start a revolution. These guys who are making these films saw a lot in common with the mob mentality that would lead to a lynching. To them was the same mentality that you saw in this thing, was making people think that there were commies jumping out of the closets and they're going to destroy the country and all this stuff. And so it was very, very easy to read this as an analogy to what was happening at the time, the witch hunt hysteria. So the movie you're about to see is Cy Enfield's very thrilling gut bucket approach to making an anti-capitalist tract. I have to say that that's what this movie is in its own incredibly thrilling way. I'm not going to describe the plot to you. I'm just going to say that you're all going to be playing, ooh, isn't that who I think it is? When you watch this film, because it's a veritable who's who of young British actors of the 1950s. It's like Cy Enfield threw out a net and got all these soon-to-be superstars to make very early appearances in this film. I'm not even going to tell you who they are because you're going to recognize them when they appear on screen, and that's a big part of the fun. And the only woman in the mix is Peggy Cummins, who you all know from her great starring role in Gun Crazy. And this was part of our tribute to Peggy that we had in San Francisco when she came and paid us a visit, and she was very happy to see this film again. And it's quite a rarity, and we're happy that we're able to show this film. It's a British print of the film. It is a film obviously made in England and carries the British censor board approval thing and all that. And it really is something. So if you've never seen Stanley Baker, one of the great British tough guys of all time, you are in for a treat. And this movie is really something. I'm looking forward to seeing this one again myself. So I'm very happy that, hey, Cy, we're doing right by you. We're going to get those other films out here one day too. So enjoy Hell Drivers.